Senator Conrad is back in North Dakota to support the flood protection efforts in Bismarck and Minot. This morning he flew over the Garrison Dam and landed in Minot. After his tour, the senator was able to come down to Bismarck to visit with us. He and Brian Howell join us now to not only talk about what they saw, but another issue that residents have been wondering about, and that's flood insurance. Gentlemen?
Monica, that's right. We had the pleasure of jumping on board a plane as soon as that meeting was finished up there in Bismarck. We hopped on board and flew up the Missouri River and got some pretty incredible views. First, we saw Bismarck homes, some submerged underwater, others very close to it, dikes scattering the landscape. It's like a wall of water all the way up and down the Missouri River. Then we went on to the Garrison Dam and then ultimately into Minot. Senator, what were your overall thoughts about the sights that you saw from Bismarck to Minot? What struck you?
Well, that wall of water, it's incredible. None of us have seen this in our lifetimes. On the other hand, what we saw is something exciting, and that is much better news than we were getting yesterday, that they now believe they can fight this flood fight in Minot right at the river and not have to rely on secondary dikes to protect lives and property. So that's very good news, and of course we had a wonderful day for flood fighting, so the Corps could get up on the dikes and reinforce them, something they could not do yesterday.
So that nice weather was definitely a huge part of the reason, and let's hope and cross our fingers that this weather holds true. Another issue going on is tomorrow morning you plan to have the head of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers come to Bismarck to check dikes, check levees, just to make sure that they are up to snuff, but everything looks really good right now. You had a chance to also meet with Army Corps of Engineer officials and representatives up in Minot today. Talk about what you were getting from them, how that's playing out, how that meeting is going to be shaping up.
Well, first of all, in Minot, of course, it was very, very good news that it looks as though we're in a position to win this fight. And I think everybody understands we want to do this with no regrets, that when we look back, we want to be able to say every single thing was done that was humanly possible to win the fight. That's the same feeling we have here. That's why I've asked top Corps officials to come back tomorrow to give a last-minute inspection to these dikes, those that have been constructed by the Corps, those that have been constructed by the city, so that they can tell us, do we have to do more? Do we have to do secondary dikes, or are we in the best possible position?
And before we run out of time, I'd like to make two quick points. On the plane, we were actually chatting about how you were hoping to get the Canadian Premier to stop allowing water to come out here. And another issue that came up on the plane that you were working on today was FEMA and these insurance claims. Let's touch on the FEMA insurance claims.
Well, I talked to the director of FEMA when I was in Minot. You know, they're talking about a determination that this flood began on May 28th. I don't know how they can possibly say that since we're not at flood stage at Bismarck even today. So I said to him, look, you got to go back to the drawing boards and reconsider that decision. We also have, I just had a meeting with an engineering firm here in town. We met with the mayors of the two cities about the question of cross-ground flooding versus what I would call seepage. They call it water that comes up because of hydrostatic pressure. That is going to be a very, very important issue with FEMA in terms of paying for some of the mitigation steps that are necessary to protect people's homes. Because as you know, I think we're going to do well at fighting the water that's coming across the ground. The place, because of the sandy soil that we've got, a special challenge is the water that comes up from below. And we're going to need FEMA's help with those flood fights as well.
Lots of work still to be done.
Lots of work to be done.
Senator, you're a busy man. Thank you so much for the time, and best of luck to you in this continued flood fight.
You bet. Thank you.
Monica?
Thanks. Coming up on First News at 5, a Bismarck family has given up on saving their home. Find out how they're refocusing their efforts.